I'm Matt Vest, and this is a podcast about being friends with those who have a different worldview than you. We laugh, we cry, we disagree, but in the end, we're always friends. This is Matt Vest versus his friends. All right, welcome to Matt Vest versus his friends. And,
hi!
We're all a bit sad, I think. It's very, I don't know.
You know what? I wouldn't lead with that. I really wouldn't. If
what?
you want people to actually listen to this episode, I wouldn't lead with, we're all very sad.
So I should lead with, ha 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 ha, funny, depressing.
No, but you should lead, just greet the people, say,
hi,
hello, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for listening.
I'm Richard, this is Matt, Dani is also here with us today. There's the three of us. That's who's in the room.
Oh, yeah. I should pay you more.
You should pay me anything. That would be fantastic.
I pay you in bottled water.
That's true. Mm-hmm. And actually, you know what? When we do the podcast at his house, he also gives me water. So
sometimes I pay you in baked goods.
That's true. Matt, how come you never pay me in baked goods?
Because I'm a terrible baker.
Oh. And a terrible person.
I'm not a terrible person. How dare you?
Anyways.
In what way am I a terrible person? Go.
Remember that time you did the thing with the stuff? That was totally wrong. You shouldn't have done that.
Danny,
don't be doing the thing with the stuff.
Danny, do you agree with his...
Actually, no, you know what?
Statements?
When we did the photo shoot and your driving was so horrendous that Danny was screaming and trying to escape out the window.
I was a little bit.
She was like, oh my god, we're going to die!
Okay, like last time, can either one of you actually say the thing that I did that was dangerous?
When you ran over 50 people...
that didn't happen.
Okay. When you drove the car off the thing trying to make it fly...
I'd say some of your lane merging was not really great.
Was not smooth, is that?
No, not very smooth.
Oh. Most people's isn't.
And remember,
I'd say I felt a little more fearful than I do when I'm in other vehicles.
I think most people, when they're not the one driving, tend to
Totally false. Normally I feel less safe when I'm driving than when other people are driving.
You know what? When you start out the car drive by handing us helmets saying you're definitely going to need these, with big cracks in the top and like little bits of the last person that wore the helmet... No, that's not a good way to start a car ride.
It's not. That's not it.
I know. I'm making stuff up. But it's funny, though.
I actually do remember the thing that made you both go, okay, Matt, you're not driving well.
What was it?
Is I, braked a little late on, the slowing
Oh, so
traffic.
what you're saying is you remember that you were not a good driver.
For one thing. You're going to tell me every time you get in the car, everything you do is, the most, textbook perfect of driving?
Yep.
Yes, hands at 10 and 2.
We're both driving instructors.
Nope.
We are.
Spare time. We don't even get paid
You've
for
been in my car?
Yes, I have been in the car.
Yeah, and you never complained.
I don't complain about most things.
That's true, he doesn't.
That's false.
He pretty much just tolerates everything that happens to him.
See?
They put rat poison on my hamburger. Meh.
I'll just... I think if I knew there was... I mean, yeah, I'm definitely the type of guy that if, I ask for no pickles, they put pickles on it, I just take it off because I'm not allergic to them. I just don't like them.
I am.
Yeah.
I actually legitimately
Some random
am
person lit my
pickles.
pants on fire and I'm burning. Meh. I'll just put it out with my hand. Ow, my hand. My hand is now burning. That's fine.
I'm pretty sure I'm Canadian because I'm so nice.
I wouldn't go that far. I would not go that far.
I'm not Canadian nice?
No, you're not Canadian nice. Can't compete.
Is it? If it's a positive stereotype, is it still bad?
I guess it depends. I mean, you know what? Honestly, if and when I do end up going to Canada to live, I think I'll probably... The first time anyone's ever rude, I'm going to be, shocked. I'm going to be like, how dare you? You're all supposed to be nice. How could you do this? You have ruined my perception of your entire country.
Canada?
Yes,
Canada.
Canada. You have been rude to me. You're clearly the only rude Canadian in the entire nation of Canada.
Canada.
Is that a nation?
Canada.
So did anything happen interesting this week for anyone?
You mean in our personal lives? I'm assuming that's what you mean. The way you phrase that seems...
Sure, it could sound... anything...
It was
do you know of anything interesting that's happened this week?
Nothing worldwide.
Lots of things.
And we'll get to those.
I can't think of anything specific. I had to be the main cashier at work for my shift, and that's always very difficult.
What does that entail?
It's basically when you're essentially, you have to stay out the lanes. You
don't get to move.
You're not backup. You're the one. You're like the one main person. And you tend to have to deal with a lot of crazy people.
Yeah, because you can't just like wander away.
And I've noticed, I mean, working at Target, you get like some crazy people, but working in a thrift store, you actually get far, 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 far more crazy people. You really do.
Yeah.
Like you get lots of people trying to rip you off, changing the tags. I mean, it's a thrift store, crying out loud. What's wrong with you? I mean, they'll rip off the tag in the hopes of getting a cheaper
cheap
price.
enough.
Exactly. It's like, it's already so cheap. Why are you doing this? What is wrong with you? But, they do it, and we have to call them out.
I usually think corrupt people don't usually like pick and choose in which areas they will be corrupt.
I suppose, but I mean, you would just hope that there would be some sort of voice of reason saying like
some line where they just
like
go,
this
no.
This is way overpriced. I don't feel like paying this price. But then like when it's a reasonable price, you should say, oh, well, that's actually a reasonable price, and I shall pay this price. For it would be much more expensive if I were to buy it brand new at the store.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good time.
Dani, It seems like every day this week you went. It seems like every day you went to SoulCycle 3 times.
I never went to SoulCycle 3 times in one day. I went to SoulCycle this morning though in Manhattan Beach.
Really? I swear, I thought yesterday.
Yeah, I've been up since like 5:30.
What is SoulCycle?
Yesterday I did not go 3 times. I worked out 3 times. Yesterday I went to SoulCycle at 10:45, and then I trained with the 3 girls that I go to. Well, the 2 girls. I'm the 3rd girl, so I guess the 2 girls that I go to SoulCycle with, and our SoulCycle instructor, who also happens to be our personal trainer. And then we went to 5 o'clock Sunset Soul.
So for
And
those
then we
of
went
us,
to Lululemon. So very. Oh, and I also got like a juice. So it was very basic white girl day.
I understood the word juice. Many of the other things you were speaking about are alien to my world. What is the SoulCycle thing?
It's a workout class. It's a
Does it
cycling
involve
class.
cycling? Like
yes.
Okay.
It's a cycling class that also involves like weights and choreography. And
are you guys on like stationary bikes?
yes, and really loud music in a dark room.
Oh.
Why does it have to be dark?
I think that it's better dark because one, it's hot in there. So, like, because a lot of
Can
people
you
are in
actually
there.
see the weights and stuff? Or
Yeah,
is it,
like there's
pitch black?
some lights, but it changes per the song. So it's like relatively dark with like some lights on the instructor.
And like the instructor moves around in the dark and like sneaks up behind you and he's like, ha ha!
No,
You're not doing it correctly. I'm
sometimes
assuming.
he'll get off the bike and he'll come turn the resistance on your wheel.
Come sneak over to you with a flashlight, shine it right in your face.
You be nice to my instructor because he offered to give a shout out to the podcast. So
Woohoo!
you're welcome.
During the soul cycling,
Yes.
like while everyone's busy, like both riding a bike, lifting
That's how
weights
you learn
in
about a lot
pitch
of
black,
things.
and they're like, "I'll
What's
have
not
to
pitch
remember
black?
that Matt Friends versus his vest or whatever they just said."
Oh, versus your vest. Do you have a vest?
No, I don't. Oddly enough.
And then they go home and they're like, "Okay, flat crest, flurses, viz hands. Why is nothing coming up?"
If they just remember Matt Vest, pretty much, I should.
Are you
be
the only Matt Vest on the planet?
No, I did discover there is a mattvest.com, and it is not related to me.
There can be only one.
I know. We'll have to take him
You're
out.
gonna have to find this Matt Vest and engage in mortal battle.
My friend, back in February when we went off to, we were supposed to go to Joshua Tree, but we went someplace else, and I can't remember where we went. Either way, he went to go email me, and my email is mattvest21. And he left out the 21, so he just emailed Matt Vest, that Matt Vest responded and said, "Sounds like an exciting trip, but unfortunately I live in Idaho, so..."
That's funny. Well, at least the other Matt Vest has a sense of humor about
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
That's true. I would probably do the same thing.
He's not like some grumpy old man or something like, "Rah, I'm sick of
How,
it."
who would spend $168 on a pair of leggings?
A complete idiot.
Okay.
A person.
I'm just curious. $168. That's a little.
I do often wonder that myself.
$298 for a pair of freaking pants. That's stupid.
That's
You know what? A lot of people will come into Savers and they'll be buying like jeans and stuff, and they'll say like, "Oh, these are such a good price. If you were to buy like, one pair of jeans new, they'd be like $60." And I'm like, where are you shopping for jeans that they'd be $60 for jeans?
That's a great deal. It depends on the type of jeans.
I do know.
No, because if
I
you buy like a pair of
understand.
Hudsons, like I have Hudsons that have lasted me like 4 or 5 years, and I wait till they're on sale at Nordstrom Rack, and I'll get them for like $70.
I understand, you know, with women, it's like, sometimes they'll be like
It is
fashion
different for
labels.
women, I think.
They'll be like fashion labels, you know, you pay like $100 for some jeans that were like fancily torn up on the knees and
Oh no,
stuff.
I don't pay for anything that's, if they're torn up, they better cost less than anything else.
I think it was Diesel or something that a friend of
Oh,
mine,
yeah,
they were
Diesel.
into, and it's like, they basically take a pair of jeans that they probably buy from a thrift store, then they like put them on like a chainsaw and like just rip them all up, and then they charge like $300 for them, and I'm like, so sad.
Yeah, if I have to pay more than $25, I freak out. And I usually don't.
Yeah.
Well, I only own like 2 pairs of jeans anyways, so.
Well, I guess if you're going to pay a lot for them, then, you know, you're not going
Exactly.
to have very many pairs of
Options are
pants, are you?
limited.
Yeah. You're like, I'm saving up. For what? A pair of pants. How long have you been saving? 4 years. I made a down payment the other day.
Yeah, but for
Credit.
leggings, that just seems ridiculous.
That's
Like,
incredibly ridiculous.
Well, I will spend.
I mean,
like-
not leggings, but, you know.
Yeah, like yoga pants or whatever. Like
Yeah.
for workout attire, like I will probably spend a little more on leggings than I think is sane, because you don't want. Wait, pause. Because it's a lot of times.
Pause the show. Okay.
A lot of
Face.
times when you buy cheap leggings, though, it's like you bend over to do like a squat
Yes,
or something, and
yes,
they're like
yes.
see-through. And I don't want to be at the gym with people like
In the pitch black on your SoulCycle?
I'm talking about the
Why is
regular
everyone
gym.
looking at me? Oh, you
Hi.
can't see me. Oh,
I work
sorry.
out at the regular gym too. So I have the calories to eat all the brownies that I cook you guys. Sorry, haven't done that in a while.
It's okay.
I'll work on that.
I'm just saying, if you're spending a lot on something that you plan on, you know, sweating a great deal into and having to wash frequently, it just seems to me like when I buy workout clothes, I buy the cheapest clothes possible, because I know I'm going to be like, you know, working out really hard in those clothes, and I'm going to have to wash them pretty often.
But for men, it's like shorts.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
I mean,
That
I have a lot
usually are pretty giving when we bend over or stretch.
Yeah.
But yoga
Yeah.
pants, I can see why that would be a little bit more
like
worried.
I will bring a friend with me to wherever I shop at, and I'll get out of the dressing room and I'll bend over in front of them and say, "Can you see my underwear?"
So you have a butt inspector that comes
Oh,
with you to the store.
That is not the butt inspector. I know the butt inspector.
There's a butt inspector?
Apparently.
Oh, yes, though. Yes, I definitely will.
That's funny.
You know, I mean,
Absolutely no issue.
I mean, you
with doing
can't check
Wallet
it yourself. I mean,
it. You can try to, but it's hard to, and I don't want
even in the mirror, like
Wait a minute, that's not the wallet inspector.
there'd have to be 2 mirrors in the dressing room for that to work, and you know, unless you're gonna bring.
I'm just saying, if I thought that was an actual paying gig, I would definitely put my resume out there. In-store butt inspector.
Go do that at
Where's the
Lululemon.
butt inspector? Butt inspector right
Have
here.
you ever sort of accidentally been without? Have you like been out shopping, then saw something you wanted
And
to try
realized
out,
you didn't have your butt inspector with you and had to take a picture and send it to them?
Well, typically you can
or ask the associate that works there?
you can kind of tell for the most part, though. Like
Yeah.
like with the material, like I could like put my hand in the material and push on it,
Right,
and like go, oh, that's probably see-through.
Probably.
I don't like to make big decisions without someone there.
We are talking an awful
bring my
lot about
husband.
butts right now.
Hey, we're talking about yoga pants.
It's hilarious. All right.
I think we should probably move on a little bit now.
So the
Yeah, I got
sad
things
thing.
to do today. Come on,
Oh,
let's move
okay,
forward.
Here we go.
All right. So
Enough clowning around. Back to the depressing.
all right. So
The heck is that sound?
It's probably a monster.
Oh, okay.
Monsters outside.
I've heard
as long
about
as they're
that.
not inside, we're okay.
Oh, they're coming inside.
Oh. Whoa. All
They're not
right.
invited. They can't come inside.
That's vampires.
So let's start with
I get it.
let's start with the most recent thing.
Most recent thing, eh?
Yeah, and because this will all be sort of, we're just playing this by ear because things, when it's been this busy of a week, sort of news-wise, things.
Wait,
come
Matt,
up.
let's inform the people at home. Matt sent us a couple of news stories, and I actually, for the once, I actually read the articles. This is like a first for me. I'm so proud of myself.
Yay.
Danny didn't.
No, I read the ones that we're talking about today, not the
Oh,
ones
okay.
that he said, forget these articles, we're talking about this.
So he sent us these articles. I read them, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Okay, forget all that. We're going to talk about
Well,
this."
no, we were still going to talk about rape.
Were we?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
When I sent this stuff about what happened in Florida, I was just referring to the two stories, the thing about Hillary Clinton and the transgender athlete thing.
Okay.
I was just referring.
There's not much to say about those anyways.
Yeah, mostly true.
All right, so we'll start moving into the biggest news story, the terrorist attack in Florida.
So a gunman who...
A lot happened in Florida. Because the night before, Christina Grimmie was killed in a...
Well, it wasn't even the night before.
It wasn't? I'm sorry, it was on Friday night. Yeah, it was. It was Friday night, and she died early Saturday morning.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. I guess, yeah. But I swear I felt I heard about that story, Thursday night.
No.
Okay.
I think that your days are just kind of...
blurring together.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So there was a terrorist attack in Florida.
Yeah, so a gunman who pledged allegiance to the Islamic State and then killed 50 people and wounded 53 in a crowded gay nightclub early Sunday morning had been investigated twice by the FBI for possible connections to terrorism. And the Bureau said, but no ties could be confirmed.
And he was an American citizen.
Right. I'm going to get his name in a second.
And he purchased these weapons legally recently.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that he had been under investigation by the FBI for possible terrorist links, he purchased these weapons legally, quickly, easily. Recently. But yet, the debate will go towards, gun control on the Hillary Clinton Obama side, but the Trump side will be it was focused mostly on not allowing any additional Muslims to come into this country, which would not have prevented this in the slightest.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Both at this moment to me always seem trivial. What do you
mean?
Trivial in the sense of, I guess in the long run they're not trivial, but in the moment it just feels like grandstanding. It seems like people...
Well, yeah, but I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
What else are we going to talk about? We can have, a moment of silence on the show, but we can't just sit here for... I thought that was the point, to discuss the political implications of something that had just happened.
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know it was political.
What?
Well, I didn't know we were having a political debate here. I would have signed out, because you know how I feel about that. So I'll just sit here and look at Instagram. Enjoy. Debate on.
No, we don't. Why... I don't know. To me, it's... You can look at the gun control issues, and you can look at who we let into this country. Both can have problems. Both can have solutions. Both can be better done. But to me, it's always how do we look at this situation and go, why does this happen? Because it doesn't just happen... Because he could have had a rifle that is... or a shotgun that most people they want to ban assault rifles and sort of automatics and semi-automatics and these things that are clearly designed for...
I think the idea is if he had a less effective gun that he wouldn't have killed as many.
That is true.
I think that's...
But to me, I look at it and I just think, but it doesn't stop tragic things from happening.
No, you can't stop tragic things from happening.
Yeah. And that's not to be dismissive and say, well, let's just not talk about it, or let's not. But I don't know. It's not the thing that I run to and I want to over. But you're right. And you're right in some sense. What are you going to do when like you said, we can.
We have something bad happens and. We're doing a podcast.
Yeah.
We can't just sit here and go, it sucks that bad things happen. It's a talk show, essentially. They can't even see us. I could do a wacky dance. They wouldn't see it. I mean, what are we going to talk about? I mean, I thought that was the point, was to go into what are the issues at stake here.
So what?
That's what we were going to talk about with the other things, like the transgendered athlete or whatever. Yeah. I mean, we weren't going to discuss, what their feelings were or something. Like, we don't know. We were just going to discuss the politics of it.
Well, yeah. But do you, from where you sit, do you think that what should be the takeaway then, politically? Or sort of...
Well, I think it's a lot more on the whole gun control issue than it is on the issues that are raised by someone like Trump. And the reason it's like my mind goes there, but I know the sad thing is I feel like most people don't, and I feel like overall, for some odd reason, people seem to think that, probably just due to speeches and rhetoric, that people on the right are like somehow harder on terrorism or harder on whatever the threat is than Democrats. Mostly just in rhetoric. Just because Trump will say, we're going to find them, we're going to destroy them, and talking about using nuclear weapons against, terrorists in caves. I don't really see the... not really...
Seems like a bigger bomb.
Well, like when they were talking during the Iraq-Afghanistan times of the Bush administration, everyone was saying they should bomb Afghanistan into the Stone Age. They never really got out of the Stone Age. They still don't really have civilization like we see it here.
Yeah, no.
It's still pretty much wandering tribes. I mean, you're right.
You're right in some sense that the Republican Party wants to say it's a problem with who we're letting in, but he was an American citizen.
Yeah, he was an American citizen. And I feel like, despite the facts of this, I feel like it's going to push people more towards Trump, despite the facts of this, and that scares me.
Like, what do you mean? Be specific. Like, what facts?
Like I just said, like, if you look back on any tragedy, say, like, oh, what could have prevented this tragedy? Therefore, in the future, what could prevent something like this from happening? Well, obviously, the gun control issue is the sole issue here, since he was not at all an immigrant, which is exactly what Trump was saying. Don't allow Muslims, don't allow any new Muslims to come into this country, or refugees or anything. Well, this guy was an American citizen, so clearly it was his extremely easy access to firearms, despite having been looked at by the FBI. That was the issue.
Yeah, I look at that stuff, and
I thought we had things like the Brady Bill and stuff that would make it so that they would investigate you over a period of 7 days, then you would get your weapon. Apparently that's not the case. Apparently you can just go and they'll say, oh yeah, sure, that's fine. You want a gun? Sure, here's 5. Who cares? I thought there were things in place. Apparently there's not.
Yeah, moments like this, it does.
And then you have people on the right who say the issue would be solved by everyone having guns. So apparently everyone in this gay nightclub would have presumably been armed to the teeth? I mean, really? I don't think so. Even in some of the circles I run in, people to do like guns, they wouldn't bring them to a dance club with them. Like, why would you?
But neither thing is going to solve the issue. Having more gun laws isn't going to change that, because that's like having more laws with drugs and having more laws with this and making all these abortion laws. People are, if someone wants to get their hands on something, they're going to get their hands on it, whether it's legally or illegally.
Oh no, I agree.
So I don't think that having more gun control laws are going to help.
It actually would have changed this specific issue.
But if his plan was, I'm with ISIS and I'm going to go do this, he would have found a way, regardless of if it was easy access to guns or if he had to get his hands on guns some other way.
Yeah, I suppose that's fair enough.
And, truth be told, he, even if didn't want to use guns, could have used an explosive, could have created, some chemical to... Yeah, well, could have created an explosive and done...
You can learn how to do that on YouTube.
More damage, or at least just as much.
Possibly less. I think possibly less, depending
on how much work.
Well, didn't they capture him alive?
No, he's dead.
Oh, is he dead?
Yeah, he's dead.
I'm still learning about what
the other guy was captured alive from the Christina Grimmie murder.
Oh, all right. No, I was listening actually on the radio.
Other Florida shooting.
No, he was he was tackled alive, but he ended up shooting himself.
He shot himself.
So
Okay,
both
but this
shooters
guy
are
was
dead, yeah.
killed on site by the SWAT team, right?
Yeah, and it was funny to me, like, not funny, sorry.
I was going to say,
Sorry,
not really
not funny.
the appropriate choice of
But it was
here.
interesting to me that it's sort of, if you listen to how they detail the story, it starts with, you know, the gunman outside. He has some sort of altercation with a security guard that's there. I'm not sure if he was an off-duty officer working the event, or he was just.
Wait, clarify. Are you discussing the terrorist
nightclub?
attack?
Yeah.
Or the terrorist
nightclub.
attack, yeah.
The nightclub shooting.
All right.
So there was an officer there. I'm not sure if he was on duty or off duty, but he was working there for security.
Yeah.
And that's where it started. It started outside, and then it retreated inside. And the way they tell the information on the news is it sounds like he was backed into a corner and then went back inside. Like it started outside. So I always wonder, like,
what started? It was just an altercation, or
I don't know. Yeah,
okay, that's
I don't
weird.
know if he. It
like,
just says he
he's
opened
got, like,
fire.
a couple of guns, and he's like, "I'm going to shoot up the place." And the security guard's like,
I'm
"No,
guessing
please
he
don't."
just started shooting outside, but then the way that they make it sound is because he had no place else to go. He went back. He went inside.
Oh,
and
weird.
then it turned into a hostage situation. And so usually when it's a hostage situation, if the gunmen aren't killing anyone, they'll stand there for 10, 12 hours before they do anything. He was clearly he
was just massacring people.
Right. So it eventually became a thing where they had to go in, break down the door, and they ended up killing him.
Yeah.
And that was the most shocking thing, is like he just clearly was not. There wasn't some bigger goal of like, let these criminals,
let the hostages and whatever.
Yeah, there wasn't a. He was intending to kill people.
Did it say what his? I mean, obviously he was with the terrorist party, but what was his intention behind? I mean, was it just to kill a bunch of people? Was there some sort of hatred for homosexuals that was involved?
They're as of
Has
right.
that been?
I think it's too early for them to really know.
Yeah, as of right now, as we sit here, they
I was
don't
just curious
really
if you
know.
read that anywhere, because I didn't read it in that
Probably
one
by the
article that you
time this
sent us.
podcast comes out
Tomorrow?
Yeah, everyone will know more.
Actually, I'll probably just put this up later tonight. But
Yeah, that's
as
probably
of
a good idea.
2:35 on Sunday, October 12th, or not
October?
June 12th.
Wow.
Wow, is it October already?
June 12th.
I gotta start getting my Halloween
2016.
costume together. Jeez Louise.
I was just curious if they knew the motivation behind it. If it was
And
strictly just let's go blow a bunch of people.
I'm fairly certain that he only pledged like allegiance to ISIS. He's not. I don't think he was necessarily sent here by the larger group.
No, I don't think he was directly connected to them.
Yeah, just in the same way that at the San Bernardino shooting, they agree.
Yeah, they say I'm with you, but obviously I'm not taking direct orders from you.
Right.
I just agree with your whole ideology and everything like that.
So,
what is their ideology?
The strict interpretation of Islam, establishment of Sharia law.
He knows so much.
The war against all other religions, including none. Christian, secularism, all that. War against the decadent West with our evil democracy and our Mickey Mouses and our pizza.
Oh,
And sort of making the rest of the world out like the states over in the Middle East that are run by essentially a state religion of Islam, where women have to be abused at all times and oppressed.
I think what your hand motion was, more like talking about covering everything but
covered
their
by like a
eyes.
burqa. But I was just like thinking like, yeah, but that's not all there is. They don't just have to cover up. They have to shut up. They have to like literally do what
I wouldn't do.
Like
well
they're not
in
even
that,
allowed
but-
to go out in public without an escort. Like, I mean, it's not even if you're
How
a
long
woman,
would I last in that?
if you're a woman in an Islamic area, it's like just
Danny, who
give
grew up
up.
in America, getting put over there? No, Danny would not do well. Danny, who maybe was born and raised in that culture,
Danny would still probably not do very well.
probably not.
Danny might not live to be old enough to do very well.
That's true.
Exactly. So yeah, it's I get it. There are things to debate and question, and there are problems to how did this guy get, if he was on a watch list, if they were paying attention to him,
then why was he able to go into some store and just purchase weapons?
Right. So
he shouldn't have even been able to purchase like a Bowie.
Well, I think the argument is they couldn't. They had suspicion, but they couldn't quite actually tie him to anything.
Yeah, but the fact that he was at all under investigation, I mean, that's.
Well, I don't think he was currently under investigation. I think he was at one time, and the investigation was dropped, and
they couldn't.
But at the same
Yay,
time,
America! You're innocent until you're proven guilty.
Same time, though, they're like
so
busy reading our emails, and this guy's going out buying guns. I mean,
well, they're going to be severely disappointed if they're reading my emails. It's all like
that's a waste of time. I mean,
sale at Nordstrom.
Yay, yoga pants.
30% off at Macy's.
Will you come look at my
Here's
butt?
your
I'm on Craigslist. And I need a butt buddy. Oh wait, that would. Yeah, I didn't think about that before.
You guys heard it. You guys heard
I didn't
it.
think about that before.
Go on Craigslist. You can find Richard's ad for a butt buddy.
I'm pretty sure on Craigslist, if you look for a butt buddy, you're not going to find what you're looking for.
Not.
What else would they find?
I don't know.
We're done. Let's go. Moving on.
Pottery Barn. Hours left. 20% off. You're welcome.
Find Pottery Barn on Craigslist.
She's looking at her email. All right. So the other big situation that happened this week, the other story that sort of took over everything on the internet
You're not going to say Twitter again, are you? Everyone was tweeting about it.
They were.
I know how much you love your Twitter.
Just because you hate
It just sounds wrong, doesn't it?
Just because you hate
I
it.
honestly think Twitter's a stupid name.
I don't use Twitter.
Every time I hear in the news, like on TV, and they say this a lot, and every time I can't take it seriously when they're saying, so-and-so tweeted about this. I I just can't take it seriously. It sounds too stupid. It just sounds too stupid.
Is there a more mature thing?
It sounds so dumb. I tweeted
with...
about it. Tweet. Just sounds dumb.
All right. What if they said so-and-so said on Twitter? Would that somehow...
That would sound better to me, yes.
Yes.
Better than tweeted.
It's like, there was a terrible attack today. Many people have tweeted about it. It's like, I can't take that seriously. It sounds too stupid.
I get it. All right. So...
Tweet.
So the other thing that populated news cycles this week was...
on Twitter.
Was Brock Turner and him getting only 6 months sentence for 3 counts of sexual assault.
For raping an unconscious girl.
Yep.
And from what it said in her letter to him, and the descriptions that were given of how she was found, it sounded pretty brutal and horrific.
Yeah.
It's like they found her behind a dumpster with her dress over her head and Yeah, madness.
And I'm still, there are questions, and I never found answers because I spent more time looking at, and we'll get into that in a second, what rape culture is.
Had you not heard that term before?
I had. And just, whether or not it's as serious as other people make it sound to be.
Yeah.
But I'm still fuzzy on details. Was never sure if Brock Turner remembered, because it says that he was drunk too. But does he even remember? I can't. There was never.
Okay, first off, how drunk do you have to be to not remember something?
I don't know.
And number 2, if you are that drunk that you do not remember something, are you physically functioning well enough to climb on top of a girl and rape her?
I would assume he was drunk enough to remember.
What it sounded like from everything was that as soon as he was accused, he had a bunch of lawyers.
Yeah.
So to me, this
Preppy
whole thing,
white guy.
This whole thing comes around to
privilege.
A couple things.
That darn white privilege.
Racism, white privilege, and classism too.
Yeah.
And I think they're both heavily at play in this case. Sorry to politicize a tragedy once again, but I thought that was what we do.
Well, yes and no. But.
Okay. Well, I'm going to.
I just hate politics, you know this.
I'm sorry to hear that. But essentially, there were a lot of things. One of the first things I actually saw about it, I didn't see much. I was comparing the pictures that were released by the media from right when it was like reported, and the one of what's his name, Brock. Who names their kid Brock?
Yeah, Brock.
Brock, like brick, like I'm a brick. Anyway,
Or B-Rock.
B-Rock, yeah. Anyway,
Which, by the way, sounds like a white rapper name.
that's a weird name.
Yeah.
But the picture of him was like it looked like his senior high school portrait.
Right.
Whereas the picture released of Trayvon Martin when that case first broke was like this black and white picture of him with like a hoodie on, like all like
super close up.
yeah,
Like, looks like a molester? Or looks like he's up to no good?
Looks like he did something bad, and the other guy is like, looks like he could never do anything wrong because he's a model citizen. Most importantly, he's white. And then, look at how lovely and white he is.
And then his actual mugshot came out. And I wouldn't necessarily say he looked more like a criminal. Like he still looked like...
Was he like giving a big old smile?
No.
Okay.
No.
So in the senior portrait he's giving a big old smile.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say that this is it's racism and classism. Classism because the whole thing about only sentencing him to 6 months, like, oh well, prison would be hard on him. Like, yeah, it's hard on everyone. It's hard on you.
Getting raped is hard on
and it's
and
prison
it's supposed to be.
Prison is hard on you no matter what, and that's where you go when you do a crime. That's the thing. And I was just like thinking to myself, I'm just like, all right, so let's say I committed a crime or something, right? Something similar, right? So if I were, like, I'm white, right? So I wouldn't do like 30 years. If I were black, maybe I'd do 30. But I would probably do like 11, maybe. Something like that. I wouldn't do 6 months because I'm not rich. I'm poor. I'm not in some prestigious college with a bunch of, parents that are paying for everything and lawyers and all this whatnot with a quote-unquote bright future and, don't put him in jail because then, what about his future?
Hey, your public defender might throw some of that out there.
They might say it, but unless I'm paying them an OJ salary, they're not going to really...
public defenders don't get paid by you.
They're not going to be... I'm saying, unless I'm paying them an OJ salary, they're not going to be like, if the glove don't fit, you must have quit. They're not getting me off. I'm doing time. I'm not doing 6 months, that's for sure.
No, yeah.
Because I'm not rich. And that's the thing. It's like, whenever a rich person, even OJ, that's a perfect example. He was even black. And not even actually worked to his advantage, because he was wealthy enough to hire Johnny Cochran with his stupid, trick the jury, make them think like, ooh, what's going on over here? This is Chewbacca. Why am I talking about Chewbacca when a man's life is at stake? If Chewbacca does not make sense, he must have quit, Look at the monkey. Look at the silly monkey. So that was a South Park reference. By
it
the way,
was. Yes.
Yeah. Did you know that? Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good. So yeah. Essentially, if you're rich, you can literally do any crime you want to in this country, and you won't do much time. You may pay a fine. You'll be fine.
It was like I get the logic.
If you're rich and white, oh boy.
I get the logic that I think the maximum sentence for this was supposed to be like 15 years.
Something like that, yeah.
And so
I think it was higher. I think they were saying something about rape being like doing like 20 or 30 years.
I thought it was like 8 years to 30 years. It was
there you go.
That range.
8 to 30. And this guy did 6 months probation or something?
I originally saw 15, but so if it was 15 or even 30, like it'd be one thing if he got, he's a first time offender, he's clearly not a career criminal by any means of the word. So yeah, if he only got half, that would make sense. That would make, okay, we get it, but...
Yeah, but you gotta think, like, would they be as lenient if he was black? And, maybe you don't think maybe you think it would be the same? I don't think it would be the same.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't be in the media. People wouldn't be talking about it. People wouldn't be coming to this guy's aid. They wouldn't be saying, like, his future. They would just be like, well, he's black. He doesn't have a future. He's just a black guy.
Yeah, I'd have to study.
I believe in the systemic racism of the system. I think it's true.
You think that if he were black... but see, that's the thing. Do you think if he were black, or it's just because he doesn't have money to get a defender that would sort of...
It's both. Like I said, if it was... let's say he's white, but he's poor, he would still do a pretty good chunk of time. But just not... I don't think he would... I think if he were black, it wouldn't even be as long of a trial.
But what if he was black and rich?
That's a good question. I think if he was black and rich, it would probably... it would depend probably more so on if he was like a celebrity. Because celebrity, then you'll be in the media, and public opinion, obviously has some effect on a trial, even if you're trying to pick an impartial jury.
Yeah, which is pretty impossible.
Just out there, exactly. But it's just out there, like.
Yeah,
I mean that was with the whole OJ trial. I mean they were sequestered for so long, they didn't see the public opinion. They couldn't see any of the things we were seeing.
Yeah. But so the question. This story was going to be the question of the week originally, but I'll just ask it anyway.
Is that news, though?
Yeah, I know. I just felt like throwing it in there. Because the news wasn't really upbeat today, so I had to figure out where to put it.
Okay.
What part did rape culture play in the Brock Turner case? So, I'll define rape culture. I have some notes here. What is rape culture? This is from the Women Against Violence Against Women. It's a rape crisis center. Rape culture is a term that was coined by feminists in the United States in the 1970s. It was designed to show the ways in which society blames victims of a sexual assault and normalizes male sexual violence. Which a lot of different people when I was looking this stuff up, a lot of different people had different sort of definitions, but that one seemed to encompass all of those things. It's just saying that, that we blame victims and that we glorify the violence against women and we normalize it. Which I personally...
Well, I'll give my 2 cents because it's really short.
Yeah.
I personally don't think that played as much into it as the other factors, as the fact that he was a young white male who was wealthy.
Right.
I think those were the main factors because I didn't really read or hear anything about them saying like, during the trial, like, oh, like, what was she wearing, and was she asking for it? I don't know. Because I mean, they might have.
I think in her letter, she did talk about like all these questions that she was getting, and she didn't mention that, but I don't think she got hung up on it.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it was that big of an issue in the trial. So for my 2 cents, I don't think it really played that big of a role in this.
But do you think
case.
Rape culture is real?
It's a good question.
That's more like, especially.
I guess it depends. I mean, I think it just depends on. I don't know. That's tough. That's tough to say. Like,
Dani, do you think American society in large promotes violence against women or normalizes it?
Well, I think there's a lot of it behind, and just for like the rape culture thing, and I think you hear it a lot and you see it a lot, even like just on Facebook and stuff. Like, well, you're dressing like that, you're doing this like that. Like, there's a lot of things put on the woman in this kind of case, at least with rape. On, well, you did this, you did that, you did this, you did that. Well, did that? Nothing's asking to be raped. So I think there's a lot of the kind of asking for it thing that I've seen normalized. Like, well, then you shouldn't go out and dress like that. You shouldn't dress like a slut if you don't want to get raped, or you don't want to get catcalled, or you don't want to do whatever. Well,
or like you shouldn't go to like. You shouldn't go out. Basically,
you shouldn't go out to the bars.
Yeah.
You shouldn't drink.
You shouldn't go to bars if you don't want
wear a low-cut shirt.
To slip a Mickey in your drink or something. Right. It is out there.
How about you shouldn't rape someone?
Yeah.
Let's go with that instead of the other 75 things that get placed on women. Not saying that women are the only ones that are the victims of rape. That definitely happens to men too. But I think society places a lot on, well, if you don't want to get raped, then cover yourself up. If you don't want to get raped, then don't walk home alone late drunk. Like, And
Right.
it's just kind of
Or
ridiculous.
just don't drink, or
Yeah.
don't go out, or don't party.
Like,
don't
there's
have
like a
fun.
list of like, don't do this if you don't want to get raped, and it's like, well,
And while it's definitely, obviously a good idea to tell people, be careful with what you do, it's obviously, if someone is attacked, then the responsibility is on the attacker.
Right.
yeah.
I mean, you can't say like, someone punched this guy. It's like, well, you got to admit he's got a pretty punchable face. I mean, when you look at it, you really do want to punch him. I mean, that just doesn't work that way,
Punchable face.
Yeah, like he just has this face. You're just like, gotta punch, gotta do it.
So one of the things that I started looking at when looking into this idea of rape culture and what it meant is that there are a lot of problems with the numbers of on statistics of sexual assault. So when you look at organizations, rape crisis organizations, for a long time there was this one statistic that 1 in 4 or 1 in 5, depending on the year you looked at it, would in college 1 in 4 women were being victims of sexual assault. Mm-hmm. That would mean 20% of women who went to college were sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
And it came out that the study that sort of pushed that or brought that gave us that number ended up being just a study at 2 large colleges, and that the definition of rape or sexual assault was a lot more broad than say the Department of Justice, which puts the statistic in colleges at 1 in 52.
Well, anytime there's statistics and they're being quoted, it's iffy because statistics are always manipulated. It's just a fact.
So some of the things that, and the other thing is that the first study that I was talking about, the 1 in 4, the victims, as the study stated it, they weren't victims in their own mind. They were victims by the people that's how the people who ran the study defined what sexual assault was. So it didn't.
Do you know how they defined it?
Anytime someone did not fully consent to a sexual interaction.
So what does fully consent, like, I'm just curious as to what
I'll give you a simple example. It could theoretically be as simple as a guy accidentally brushing up against a girl's butt. In their sort of loose definition, theoretically, if that happened and if I did that to you and you felt uncomfortable by it,
I feel uncomfortable, Matt.
that could be considered sexual assault.
Okay. That's a little bit too broad. I thought that, that's a little too broad.
And so that's when it becomes...
Well, under that definition, I think every single person...
Everyone has been
ever
molested.
lived.
Right. And that's not to say that is actually what most of the... I'm not trying to say that that's women who claim that they've been sexually assaulted are actually claiming, but when I was reading it, it just sounded so much that it was... That even if... Okay, let's say, for argument's sake, 2 sober individuals are... together, they go out to dinner, they go dancing, and
Do people do that anymore? Go to dinner and dancing?
Whatever, let's just say yes, clearly. But let's say that leads back to someone's apartment. And one of the two people's apartment, and but let's say they have an ongoing relationship, like,
long description.
I know. He's been for a very long time and falling asleep.
Yeah.
One individual sort of has previously stated, like, that they don't.
What's their name?
They don't want to have sex.
John.
Or they
John
don't want to. They just want it to be kissing. Okay, and previously stated it.
That's John.
Okay, I'm not.
Or that's Mary.
I'm not assigning gender on purpose. Just calm down. I'll get to it. So one person,
and it ends up going farther anyways.
But no one ever says stop.
Okay. My personal circumstance.
So I would say no.
I would say
I would not
if the kissing started to seem like it wanted to lead to more, I would then verbally say, "Are you sure you just want to be, kissing?" Or maybe we can, that's consent. That's when, if you're not entirely sure, just ask, and that's consent.
Okay,
that's what consent is.
So let's say the person who is asked says, "No, I'm not sure," but then the other person, through words convinces, and the other person reluctantly obliges.
I guess it depends on how reluctantly they obliged.
I think I don't think there's a one size fits all thing.
Are they just like? God, I guess we'll have stupid sex. God,
I think that if at any time someone says no, there you go. That's your line.
No is a turnoff.
But what if? What if?
I mean, that's kind of what I wonder too. Like, how do you would you really want to follow through on this? You're like doing whatever, and someone's like, "No, I do not want to have sex with you."
And somehow that makes the other person go, "Ooh, a challenge." Okay,
like
what?
Right. So yes.
But, think about that. I really though, even in marriage. Would you want to be like, yeah, Megan said she doesn't want to have sex now, but I'm really into it? Like,
no.
You know what I mean? It's like, no, I want that person to be mutually interested.
Of course.
Some people are bad people.
Of course. The moment...
God. If everyone could just not be freaking stupid,
that's why they say that rape is not a sex act, it is an act of violence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Accurate.
Yeah.
So,
but that's when it gets. Yeah, you're basically going into where does it get fuzzy? And of course, there's an area where it gets fuzzy. It's like if the other person doesn't specifically say yes, I would like to have intercourse with you now. Then it's like if they didn't say that, then maybe
did you get consent?
Is it consent? Or what if what if you're okay?
And do you ask?
Okay,
do I have permission to have sex with you?
No. I'm gonna. Okay, for those of you with small children, turn off the podcast. I'm gonna get a little graphic here for 1 second, just as a specific example.
Yeah.
Let's say you're getting hot and heavy, and you're about to put it in. And let's say you pinch their butt.
I am so immature.
Okay? Let's say you pinch their butt, and they don't like that, so they say no. Does that mean that they said no to the sex
in general?
Or does that mean that they said no to the butt pinching? You know what I mean?
Wouldn't your line go, no like you didn't like that, or no like you don't like this?
Well, that's the thing. If you stop like that, and then you just let's have a conversation about consent.
I think someone would be like, don't do that, or stop.
Or don't pinch my butt.
Or I don't like that. Or what the hell do you think you're doing?
Stop pinching my butt.
This is stupid.
There's
That's not sexy.
Don't pinch your butt.
There's a writer, director, and an actress. Her name is Leah Dunham, and
Lena.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, but it's not Leah.
Matt's incredibly bad with names. He thought Claire Danes' name was Clara Danes for a decade.
Got it.
Well,
what about her?
She wrote in her book that...
Did you read her book?
No, but I read about it. So
he read that it said that it read that it said.
Quiet. I clearly did more looking up of things. But she talks about a sexual encounter in which she was uncomfortable with and felt that she didn't want it to happen but was letting it happen, and then basically she realized that the condom that the person said that they put on was
still in the package and on the desk.
Well, not quite, but it was over there. It was not on him, for one. And that's when she drawed the line and said, nope, done, get out. But she...
Drew the line?
Yes.
Grammar police.
Grammar police.
That's when she, even though she was uncomfortable before, that's where she put an actual verbal stop, no, and get out.
And he stopped and got out? Okay,
but
that's consent.
But here's the thing. The person she talked to the next day, this is in her book, the person said that, oh, you were raped, you were sexually assaulted because you felt uncomfortable.
No, I don't feel like there's... I mean, no,
that seems a bit stupid.
I mean...
That seems a bit stupid.
But that's...
because
But rape and sexual assault, I think...
Sure,
are not necessarily one and the same.
No, they're not.
Because wouldn't rape constitute that there was like some sort of penetration?
To me, that's okay. Wait, were they having sex when she discovered that?
No.
Yes.
Oh, they were.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So here's the thing. To me, that's the same as the butt pinching.
Right.
It's basically it's like, yes, I would like to have sex with you. But obviously, it's under certain criteria. You shall put this condom on, and we will be safe about it. And if the person doesn't hold up that end of the bargain...
Then you say no,
yeah, then the deal is off. But before that, when you thought they were holding up the bargain, then it was on, so it's fine. But you didn't know.
But she felt uncomfortable about even wanting to have sex in the first place.
Why do you... Never mind.
Here's the thing. Look, you and I both especially know that teenagers have gone into sex not technically unwilling, but not 100% excited about it.
Why do we know this?
You've never talked to young teenage girls about the fact of why they chose to have sex because
I was just wondering what your protocol is on that.
Because we spent time in youth ministry, and so that there are teenagers, usually teenage girls, will say, I didn't really want to, but he pressured and he kept asking.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If at the time, if you don't give any indication that you're not consenting, how is the other person supposed to know?
Right.
That's what I mean.
So
if you can't... It's like calling it, rape after the fact, and just saying well, at the time I really enjoyed it, but now thinking about it afterwards, there were some parts I didn't really enjoy. Maybe I was raped. It's like, I'm sorry, that's you're really blurring some serious lines there.
Me or people? That's
blurring lines.
Well, and that's why,
like I said, having regrets about something post having done it.
I'm not even but they could have had regrets even during it.
If you were with some friends and they were pressuring you to do some drugs, and you were like, sure, why not? So you did them, and then after the fact, you regretted it. But you can't say they forced you to do it because in the end you chose to do it also. They did peer pressure you, but you could have said no. And if you did say no and they forced them down your throat, then that's bad, obviously.
Right. So you and I would agree that while we might not want to think that these type of situations do happen, but they do and they could. And so it's important when we talk about rape culture. Yes, I do think that there are things that over-sexualize things in general, over-sexualize women, and do sort of, there are tons of songs that are just,
misogynistic?
Yes. The song Blurred Lines for one of them, is a clear example of just being misogynistic and...
I think, to me,
and saying, "Well, you want it, you want it." Yeah, of course, or frat house chants that involve
to me,
things like that.
I don't place it specifically in the context of saying rape culture. To me, it's just misogyny.
Right.
That's just to me that's the broader term. When you get super specific about it, over sexualizing women. Well, some women want to be sexy. I mean, you can't say as a society we can't have women be sexy. You know what I mean? Like, some women do want to be sexy and be seen as sexy, and they're going to want to... That's the same thing as, with slut shaming, like saying... it's basically like saying... The whole rape culture thing is, like saying victim blaming, saying a woman is responsible for it because she dressed a certain way. That's just misogynistic. She should be allowed to dress how she wants.
So the reason those questions, this is sort of my frustration. The reason those questions come into play is because, like, the situations we talked about, that I painted a picture where no one was drunk, and we saw how maybe, signals can get crossed and misunderstood or assumed, but not. Now throw alcohol and the general college scene into that scenario, and things get crazier. And so when authorities and cops come into that, and they've got to pull that apart, like, to say that cops and, people of authority or lawyers can't ask, what were you wearing? What did you say? What do you think his intentions were? They asked the guy those same questions. And
I don't think they asked him what he was wearing.
No, it's true. But it's not necessarily to blame them, as maybe it's to understand what exactly happened in the scenario. Obviously, with the Brock Turner case, she was passed out and unconscious. Like, there was no possible way to give consent. Yes. No way for a line to be blurred.
Yes.
Clearly a victim. And clearly taken advantage of. So, but...
Well, what would be your opinion then if, say, some girl went to a frat party dressed really, really, scantily clad? What would be your objective, regardless of whatever happened, nothing or something? What would be your opinion on that?
If she was scantily clad?
Yeah. Like, trying to think of a reason why you'd have an opinion. Like, was it your daughter or, like, your sister or something? I don't know. Just saying. What do you think about that?
I obviously exist in more of a modesty is better way of thinking. But I would definitely, and that's the thing, like, I definitely think we need to do better with sex education and stop it's not just about teaching, like, this is how you get pregnant, this is how, be safe, you put on a condom. We need to teach people, like, that just because they're quote unquote half naked is not actually an invitation. Like, you actually do need to be
they don't really teach
aware of,
they don't really
like,
teach
consent,
do they?
Right? And consent makes it sound super formal, but, like, how to have an actual relationship with someone, we don't teach that because we're like, well, they'll just figure it out on their own. They got parents. Like, well, considering the divorce rate is 50%, no, they don't. And even those 50% that are still married, most of them probably aren't happy and don't talk to their kids anyway. So,
and most of the kids were accidents.
Exactly. So let's actually have that conversation. But we're all so afraid of it. I think on the right and the left, because if we talk to them too much, it might sound like we're preaching at them to not have sex. Well, we don't want to preach to them because preaching's bad. Telling people to, like, or maybe encouraging them to wait might sound like, oh, waiting is what religious people do. So we don't want to do that. But the religious people, well, you don't want to encourage kids to have sex.
Well, do you think that, what would you say to kids? Like, do you think they should wait till marriage?
Yes. But even when they are in those situations, and that's the thing, traditionally the church doesn't really talk about it in depth with kids, but if you're in that situation, as to the best of your ability, get consent. And we actually need to, and aside all that, just respect women to begin with. Like, I've seen youth males, like, not be super respectful of women and, run around and, like, smack them on their butt and think it's hilarious. And girls don't necessarily tell them no, and they engage back in it because they then grab theirs. And it's dangerous play anyway. And when I see it, I stop it, but I don't approach female students on that stuff. I just go to the guys and goes, look, I know they're doing it back and forth, but you got to stop
please stop grabbing each other's
because
butts.
I will tell you as a male, it'll look worse on you. Like, so you're gonna look like the aggressor, regardless, and just don't be. Just don't, don't be the aggressor. Just that. Not regardless of whether you look like it or not. Just don't be. So, yeah, woohoo! Hour and 5 minutes. And I know Danny's got to go.
Have we run out of things to discuss?
Unless you got something to add to this.
Nope. I gotta be somewhere.
All right. Thanks for hanging out with us for an hour and 5 minutes. And we look forward to... I don't know where I'm going with that sentence. We look forward to seeing you again.
I think I'm going to invent something called Schmoll-Schmeichel, where you basically do the treadmill by yourself in a bathroom with the lights off, listening to audio.
All right, guys. Well, that's all the time we have.
Reciting the Pledge of Allegiance backwards.
All right.
And I'm going to charge $500 for these classes.
All right. Thanks for hanging out with us. And if you've never heard of this podcast before, go to facebook.com/MattVest.
They've never heard of it. How are they listening?
Yeah. How would they even find this?
That's not entirely true. But go to facebook.com/MattVest versus his friends, and you'll find out.
If you made it through the whole episode, you're probably hooked by now, and you really want to.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, go back and listen.
Please talk about rape and explosives some more.
Woohoo! All right, thanks.
Did you woohoo about rape and explosives?
You made it a joke.
Oh my goodness, we are leaving.
Matt's a terrible person. He can't drive.
Goodbye.
Terrible person.
Bye.
Okay.
Can't drive.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Can't drive.
Goodbye.
Can't.